Like, yeah, Vaush, the most important question is, what should we do to stop it? Not just, yeah, it's happening. You know what I think about that. Vaush, genocide. I absolutely think the Republicans will try to tear down democratic institutions, but the U.S. had much stronger white nationalist and eugenicist movements in the past, especially the 1877 to 1932 period. The second, yeah, soaked and left, but we didn't have the anti-authoritarian like coup thing. What I'm talking about is like what follows the deconstruction of our democracy. Certainly, there have been anti-democratic political figures, even to an extent, presidents, but not in the fashion we're seeing now. Second Ku Klux Klan had about 6 million members in 1924. That's 5% of the 114 million people in the US back then. I feel like we're latching on to like signifiers of older eras, Well, things are more progressive today, Nike, Colin Kaepernick, trans people, Steven Universe, Cartoon Network. We don't have the Klan anymore, not really in a meaningful sense. That's something. Everything can backslide. Okay, we've got slave markets in Libya. All right, people. It's this insistence that we're at the end of history. Like history is some kind of ratchet where once you move forward a certain distance, you can't backslide that far. But history is full of examples of civilizations crumbling, of empires falling to pieces, of countries falling to civil war and emerging authoritarian dictatorships. This happens, and we're not special. America has relatively strong institutions compared to a lot of countries, but no institutions are invulnerable. And we've already seen ours fail, frankly. The fact that McConnell held up a Senate confirmation for an Obama Supreme Court appointee, right there, that was like democracy broken right there. Like full on. Like Republicans, when they control the Senate, will simply prevent the president from, if they're Democrat, from doing their job. Very, very clear. As far as I'm concerned, you could have put the entire Republican Party out to sea right then, but no, they persist. And then we have the coup attempt. And, what consequences have they suffered for this? None. None. There have been no consequences suffered. Not even social consequences, not really. The feds rounded up a few people. I mean, what is that going to do? The feds round up. And by the way, do you remember what was it? Marjorie Taylor Greene was screaming about how unfair it was that the January 6 incarcerated people were being held in jail. Do you remember that? Like that's the legacy of the Republican Party. Not only do they not retract, not deny, they defend the people arrested for participating in the coup. I mean, that's where we're at right now. Can we get a stream on what we should do? Quoteth, you know what I think you should do. Learn your neighborhood, buy guns, learn how to use them, live with the awareness that the democracy that we live in is a potentially a temporary fixture. Mental self-defense. You should repeat that often. I like how there are so many liberals in my community that the statement, buy a gun and learn how to use it, is some kind of like pseudo-terroristic virtue signal to some of you. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe how radical, like, I can't believe what we have very strong evidence that there's going to be like an actual attempt at ending our democracy soon, because one of our political parties, which seems to have the upper hand in several senses in the upcoming elections, has openly said effectively they don't care about democracy. But the statement, maybe get ready, stockpile some food, and know how to use a gun, this is the radical one. I'm the radical. Isn't this the exact opposite of what you were saying a few months ago? No, I've been saying this for years. Vaush, nobody is saying it couldn't happen here. We're just saying it wouldn't right now based on the current state of America. I'm not saying it'll happen today. I'm saying it could happen in 2024 or maybe 2028. I'm not giving you a timeline. I'm telling you that unless the Democratic Party is willing to do what needs to be done, it is inevitable. Maybe things could change. Maybe the Republican Party could just arbitrarily decide with no external motivation to not be authoritarian. That would be lovely. That seems to me like magical thinking to hope for that, though. It's possible, not impossible. It could happen. I don't think it will. And if it doesn't happen, then eventually they're going to win. And if they win, they're probably going to try to make it easier for them to win again, if they even need to win again. That it's full-on civil war, though? No, it's not about civil war. That's not how it works. Coup attempts don't lead to civil wars necessarily. There are different ways of this panning out. We also benefit from the fact that we have a federalist system. which means that military power and authority is split between a wide range of institutions. Is it even possible to save America at that point? Links, links. It is always possible to make the world better than it is without your intervention. It will. That is fundamental. There will never be a situation where that is not the case. Your efforts can always help. The Weimar Republic was federal too, not in the way ours was, or is, not in the way ours is. Kind of frustrating how seemingly terrified a lot of lefties and libs are of guns and the concept of having to fight. Listen, it's fine to be terrified of stuff like this or of negatives in the future. All I'm saying is you make the likelihood of it happening greater by not acknowledging it. The greatest chance we have of preventing all of this from happening is by waking liberals and independents in this country up to the point that they treat Republicans like the threats they are. The Republican Party is a criminal organization. Its leaders should be arrested and tried quickly. Every one of them. All of them. I'm not joking. It is a criminal institution. If they're found not guilty, fine, let them live their lives. That's what the system's for. That is how they should be treated. They attempted a coup. The party backed a coup attempt. There's no room here. There's no shoulder room here. But we can't do that unless far more people in this country are aware of the threat Republicans pose, aware of what might happen if they seize power again. And you increase the likelihood of them being able to seize that power if you allow liberals and apolitical people to persist in their delusional belief that Republicans are, playing the same game Democrats are. You can't let them continue to believe that because that makes them weak. It's why I talk about this. Vaush, my family's liberals and they hate guns. How can I convince them? The funny thing is, my family's been brought over by changing material circumstances. When I first bought my guns, my parents were sort of chiding and disapproving. Not like in a weird way, just like, oh, okay, whatever. But now I'm like, hey, you know that abolishing Roe v. Wade is only a precursor to the fascist takeover of America. And they're like, yeah, I know. We were looking at guns the other day. Love my folks. Love them. I don't even know if they're liberals anymore. They're probably socialists. I don't know. But yeah, but always be responsible. Always, always, always be responsible. If you're not feeling well mentally, if you have mood instability or depression, maybe a friend can hold on to firearms, or maybe you shouldn't own them. Maybe you shouldn't own them. Maybe you should just know how to use them. Like maybe you can get a friend who does have guns and you can go to the range together. You can get to know how to use them. But you don't actually have the guns at your house. That's some LARPy shit. Learning how to use a gun? That's LARPy? Jesus. What actually originally prompted you to like guns? Because I doubt you were always into guns. Oh, I was super anti-gun, like, up until mid-college, I'd say, like maybe early college. But no, I became a leftist. And I understood that firearm ownership can be an important part of soft political pressure during times of social instability. The classic example that leftists throw out there is revolution. That's dumb. No armed civilian population is going to take over the U.S. government because of the guns. We saw this with January 6th, If all the people at the Jan 6 insurrection attempt had guns, what would have happened? Well, they probably would have killed a lot more people. I don't think they would have gotten any closer to insurrection, though. Possibly farther from it. In large part because the real thing that was propping up January 6th wasn't them. It was the Republicans supporting them. Oh, yeah, they would have been gunned down for sure. Something tells me the Capitol building has some, crazy shit that somebody had, they had, a finger hovering over the button the entire time. You know what I mean? Do we activate, the mutant scorpion, or, activate the poison gas or so. I don't know. There somewhere in the security office there is somebody with their finger quivering over the red button, The Ava unit folded underneath the Capitol building. The big dome pops open and it just yeah. But it's not a revolutionary thing. I mean, it can be, but it's not necessarily a revolutionary thing. It's about the knowledge that a neighborhood becomes more sturdy, more defensible when it's known that neighborhood is armed and more or less politically in unison, at least to the extent that, like, they don't want to be, like, killed by crazy right-wing militias. You know, if they can work together on that. What about the military? Oh, what about it? Don't fight the military. That's bad. Also, you can lower rental prices. Yeah, just fire a couple rounds in the air every once in a while. Drive down the housing prices. Be a goddamn hero for your neighborhood. Don't do that. That's illegal. And also immoral, by the way. Why are you ignoring the fact that guns aren't supported by any side in the rest of the developed world? Guns are a right-wing or left-wing policy. I can tell you who's in favor of gun ownership. The far-right militias in Germany that operate within the military and police forces that have been preparing for a, like, right-wing takeover for decades. And you know, they're a hell of a lot more prepared to do their work than a lot of lefties are to do theirs. I'll say that much. I'll tell you who believes in gun ownership. People with a goddamn game plan, okay? Sorry, that's true. Look around the world, the type of people who stockpile ammunition, usually also the type of people who are going to have a disproportionate political effect on the country they live in. For better or for worse, that's why it's a full force multiplier. Doesn't having that kind of unity require some kind of uniting identity to hold people together? Not really. If you're in a... Nah, look at, like, the BLM protests. If you're, like, all marching together on the street, like, people are naturally, like, very socially sticky. If people are scared and want to work together, like, they will, you know? If there are right-wing militias driving through a neighborhood, I don't think, like, people will work together against that if you're in a neighborhood that's not, like, explicitly supportive of right-wing militias taking over your city. What do you think about gun ownership countries where it's less common? Everything that I'm saying is only about America. I'm only referring to America here. Other countries have wildly different social, political, cultural situations when it comes to firearm ownership. Very, very, very different. I don't want my country to be filled with guns. Then don't. I'm just talking about America. America's already filled with guns. Vaush, haven't there been studies to show guns lead to less safe outcomes, more crime? I addressed those. I talked about that. There's a big Twitter thread by a leftist asking other leftists why they don't own a gun. It was just hundreds of people being like, no, because I'd kill myself. Well, there are a lot of depressed people on the left, tragically. I'm serious, though. Like, maybe you can leave it with a friend or something, or like a gun rental thing. Is there, like, a gun rental thing? Like, hey, like, your local gun shop. Are you allowed to store a gun at a P.O. box? Probably not, right? Yeah, that seems probably not. There should be something for that, you know? Not everyone can just sort of idly keep their firearms on their desk and just lay their phone on their firearm. I need to buy a bigger safe. You've got mail. Local armory. I do like the idea of communal armories. Some shooting ranges can let you rent one. Yeah, but you would want to, like, own one. What about CCW? You support those for those who are responsible? Yeah, CCWs are based. When I have them. Yeehaw. Woohoo. No, I'm not saying rentals from ranges. I mean, like, the range holds on to your gun. There's an extremist right-wing militia in my town. What the fuck do I do? I have no idea. That's really up to you. There are so many circumstances there that I can't account for.